Hello and welcome to Paranormal or What Podcast with me, your host, Michaela Ford. Hello, paranormal peeps. Hope you're doing okay. And we've got a real treat for you today, a blast from the past. We haven't chatted to him for quite a while. We've got Brett Jones. Hello, Brett.
Hi, how are you? It's been so long, hasn't it?
I
You are right.
know.
It is a blast from the past. Yeah.
Yeah, I know. It feels like ages and ages and ages, but it's probably only been like a year and a half or something. But a lot has happened in that time. It's really nice to see you again.
Yeah, loads has happened. I feel like I have a completely different life now, to be fair. Um, but it's good. Everything's really good. I'm currently
Good.
moving house, hence why my background's blurred. If you're watching this on a video, yeah, I'm moving house. So my laptop is on a cardboard box. I'm really high tech today.
As it should be if you're moving house. I think it's the law that you have to do things in cardboard boxes and on cardboard boxes. And I really hope that the first meal in your new house is also a takeaway on a cardboard box.
Oh, for sure. Yeah, I mean it'll be the last meal here and the first meal there.
Yeah, good. As it should be. Right. So, because the last time I've talked to you, or the last two times I've talked to you officially on the podcast, has always been with other people. So it's nice to be able to ask you some things about you by yourself. So my first question is always, how did you get into the paranormal?
Ah, okay. Yeah, it'll be interesting to kind of talk about, just my own experiences for a change. It'll be quite nice. The first time I ever really got into the paranormal was a long, long time ago. I may have been about 17 or 18 at a place called Plasteig. It's a Jacobean mansion by Mold, not far from Wrexham here. And I was doing Sunday history tours as a volunteer, and it's this beautiful house full of antiques and all sorts. I think they did a country house rescue episode while I was actually working there as well, with this crazy owner called Cornelia, who was lovely, but she was absolutely nuts. Um, yeah, and there was one time where they just said, "Oh, we're doing ghost hunts as well. Do you want to come along?" And they did one a month on a Saturday or something. So I joined the team, and I mean, as most people know, I'm incredibly skeptical anyway. So I joined the team on the premise of being the kind of resident skeptic of the group, um, which turned out to not go so well. Um, I don't, I think I was maybe a bit more confident in my skepticism back then because I ended up getting basically removed from that paranormal team because I think what I did was completely fine. Maybe some didn't. We had two mediums turn up, and they were lovely ladies, and they were doing a protection ritual of some sort. And at the time, I was actually writing and doing mentalism and magic shows and stuff like that, some of which involved hypnotism and that sort of Derren Brown type stuff. So I was well clued into these sort of things. And it turns out that these two ladies were doing essentially a hypnotism trick as a protection spell. Now, I knew this because I'd done it on stage 3 weeks before. And I kind of was watching going, can I in all in all my moral ability here sit here and go, uh, am I going to just let them do that? Whether or not they obviously intended it, I don't know. Whether they genuinely believe what they were doing was the case. So I put my hand up. There was 40 people on this ghost hunt. I think I must have been very confident back then to just go, can I have a go? So essentially what they were doing was they were getting people to stand with their back to them and they were feeling for their aura, and they were pulling people over backwards. So they would fall backwards. But I literally had done this in a sort of in a stage show a few weeks prior.
Yeah.
So I said, "Can I have a go?" To which they kind of stumbled and said, "Oh, yeah, but we can see their auras and feel." And so, I went, "Tell you what, we'll all have a go. Everyone find a partner." So I had a line of 20 people both sides, and I got them. It talked everyone through the process. I didn't say that that was what I was doing was trying to demean what these mediums were doing. But I just kind of was saying that, hey, everyone can do this. And I'd probably say I had an 80-90% hit rate on people being able to do it themselves and physically pull people from across the room without them knowing with this invisible force. And of course, a lot of it is the power of suggestion. So eventually, after about a year of working on that team, they were like, yeah, you might be too skeptical. I don't think they really like the idea. But I do remember there was a guy who was kind of the lead of the whole team. He used to at the start saying, "Oh, who's skeptical?" Which is very common if you go on a ghost hunt. On the public events, they always ask, "Oh, who's a believer, who's not?" But they used to follow that question with "Who's skeptical?" with, "Oh, okay, can you put your hands down, please? We don't really want that attitude here." And I was like, "Well, one, I'm in the room literally as a skeptic, so I felt kind of put out. But also, if we're paranormal investigators and we believe everything we see, we're paranormal observers. We're not we're not investigating.
Yeah,
So I think from that point, I really wanted to kind of keep doing it, but try and be a little bit more proactive in the questioning of things. Doesn't mean that I haven't seen things that have made me leave rooms incredibly quickly. Uh, but yeah, that was my first kind of dip into the paranormal, and then through that was how I eventually, over a 10-year period, ended up working and helping set up the My Haunted Hotel, and
yeah,
then going on to the project and other venues from there. Um, and now I work alongside Real Paranormal. I've taken a bit of a step back with those as well, just because I'm quite busy. Um, but I'm always kind of working with those guys, and I love investigating with them. They're so great. We have the same ethos with how a ghost hunt should be done, and
yeah.
they're finding some stuff at the minute. I don't know if you've seen that is just crazy, and they keep messaging
No,
me,
I'll have to have a
and
look.
they keep messaging me saying, "Brett, look, listen, I know you think we're crazy, but hear me out." And they're telling me, and there are videos if you check it out on their TikTok pages, on the Real Paranormal pages, of the most intelligent, ridiculous responses I've ever seen, to the point that the skeptic in me is going, "There's just no way."
Yeah,
But I know Gibbsy and Saz and the team at Real Paranormal, and they're very skeptical people.
yeah.
So yeah, it's interesting, and they're still trying to get me over there to experience it, and I will be going soon. Um,
Oh.
Knowing my luck, they probably nothing will happen when I go there.
Well, I was saying I have this theory about myself. I can't remember who I was telling it to actually, but I think I'm some sort of paranormal damper. Wherever I seem to go, things seem to stop happening. It's just
That
like,
is a thing. I know a
why
few
does
people
nothing
like
happen when
that.
I'm there? It's not fair. What's going on?
Yeah, I do know a few people like that that call themselves a almost, yeah, like you said, like a paranormal dampener. That it's just, and I've seen people quite literally go, "Look, you need to leave the room because nothing's happening." To other people.
Yeah, I know. It's really annoying because um and just to go back to the kind of the medium thing, we used to do a thing when I was at school. And I'm talking like when I was 8 years old. And we do this thing where you'd stand behind a person and you'd draw a circle on their back. And you go, I'm drawing a circle on your back and it's becoming a huge hole in your back. I want you to imagine it's a huge, huge hole. And inside your back, I'm going to reach inside you and I'm going to get hold of a piece of string. And then what I'm going to do is when I've got hold of the piece of string and pull, and I'll go, and you'd go, and I'm pulling it, and I'm pulling it, and I'm pulling it, and the person would fall over backwards.
Yeah, it's that's the same thing.
Yeah.
It's literally that. You've just described the same thing I did, essentially. So I've used that same method to disprove hypnotism as well. It's kind of strange. Uh, when you learn about that, the suggestive part of hypnotism and things like that, you realize how much of it actually can potentially be something that we are experiencing in a paranormal setting.
Mm,
And I think now, as a paranormal investigator, I am more interested in what isn't paranormal
yeah.
rather than what actually could be. So yeah, it kind of employing these principles of suggestion and confirmation bias and stuff like that is, to me, the most fascinating part of it. I think unless we genuinely rule out all of these potential, these potential things that can be deemed paranormal, like pulling an invisible string off someone's
Yeah.
back and they fall over. Obviously, there is no string.
Yeah.
That's all suggestion.
Yeah.
But you could then say, um, I don't know if you've ever done a human pendulum,
I have. I don't like it at all, really.
but is that the same principle,
Yes. Yeah. Probably. I'm
right?
sure it is. Yeah.
So it's interesting that there are things that happen across the country now. Tonight there
Yeah.
will be people doing a human pendulum in a ghost hunt in an abandoned building somewhere, and all they're doing is what you did when you were 8 years old in
Yeah.
school,
Yeah.
really. Um, you can get some interesting things out of it, and I do think that every every part of an investigation should be explored.
Yeah.
Even down to a Ouija board. Sure, I mean, a lot of people know my opinions on Ouija boards, um, but the it doesn't mean you can rule them out forever. I
Yeah.
think it's
Yeah.
worth exploring. I think you also just need to be able to say, okay, well, there are other things at play here, and not everything is paranormal.
Yeah.
Um,
Definitely.
yeah, and
I
I think
think.
that's I learned that from day one when I was 18 on this little ghost hunting team in Plastaig, really.
Yeah, I think it's really important as well. I think it's really, really important to have a variety of people. If you're doing an investigation, you need lots of different people. You need people who are complete believers, people who are complete skeptics, people who are halfway between believing and not, halfway between being skeptic and not, people who are in the middle, people who are open-minded and willing to just see what happens. You need all sorts of different people. And I also really, and I'm really going to kind of go for this now and go, I'm not sure that we will ever be able to definitively prove the paranormal. And this is from somebody who I don't even know how I'd describe myself, a skeptical believer, if there is such a thing.
Mm.
Um, because there are two, the human psyche and the human brain and paranormal things, whatever they are all too intertwined. You can't scientifically study it properly because too many things are connected, I think. I mean, even when I was in the kitchen, so I have weird things happening in my kitchen, okay? And I did have a camera in here, but my family took exception to it, shall we say. They didn't like being watched all the time. But
That's fair.
even when we were sat having our tea today, okay, and I swear that like my eldest son was out, my youngest son was with us, we were eating our tea. I heard someone shuffling their feet in the kitchen, right? As in, when someone moves around, like moves their feet, and I'm like, right, I just heard somebody shuffling their feet, but I'm not going to say anything because actually it's ridiculous. There can't be somebody shuffling their feet in my kitchen because there is no one in my kitchen. But it still made me think, but what if, what if there is some way that worlds collide and,
Mm.
there's too many things. I think there's too many things to consider.
Yeah, it's that's a good way of putting it. There's too many things, because a lot of people, I say this quite often, that something fell over. I'm like, yeah, but that's a coincidence. However, things that are very rare in happening, and coincidences, things that happen one in a million times, happen all the time
Yeah.
because so many things happen.
Yeah.
So it these coincidences that we might go, oh, that's a coincidence. That will, yeah, but there's a billion things happening at all times forever in however many
Exactly.
universes.
Yeah.
So it's
Exactly.
kind of a crazy, it's almost a statistics game,
Yeah.
I suppose. And this is the thing is you said at the start is, will we ever definitively prove the paranormal? I don't think we will.
No.
Um, and I think that it's an interesting debate to have, because if you can admit that you'll never prove it, why are you still looking?
Because it's fascinating.
But it's fascinating and it's fun, and I actually think that a lot of the paranormal isn't so much about the ghost hunting, but more about the community and the people. I
Yeah.
think, like any hobby, for instance, if you're collecting Pokemon cards, you're doing it in a community of people that is interested in those similar things. So I think a big, big part of this is the society of ghost hunting in general.
Mm.
So it will always exist.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah,
if
definitely.
if ghosts had any scientific proof, then Brian Cox would be doing a TED talk on it.
Watch this
But
space. You never know.
can you
He's
imagine?
almost doing that with extraterrestrials.
Oh,
So
he is, though, isn't he? Yeah, that is
yeah.
the thing. Um,
But you
so it,
know what's really interesting? I think also, and I'm going to kind of completely go against what I just said, that I actually do believe that there are ghosts. I don't think we'll be able to properly prove it. I think we're just going to go on as we are. I think there's too many things to do with physics that we don't understand, because I believe that maybe somebody shuffled their feet in my kitchen, but they weren't from my kitchen, but the physical sound was in my kitchen. Like, I've had, you know, if you've got a bathroom window open, you've got loads of shampoo things on the windowsill, and the wind blows and it throws all the bottles into the bath and it makes a huge clatter. So many times I've had that happen, and I've gone upstairs, there is nothing in the bath, there is no window open.
oh,
And I've gone, so what the heck was
yeah,
that
what was that noise?
noise?
What did I
Yeah.
hear?
And it
Oh, that is
happens,
interesting.
but it happens so many times.
Yeah.
But I just think it's just something that's just going to remain intangible, really.
Yeah, I think we would have to prove a lot of things genuinely scientifically before we could even consider the idea of ghosts.
Yeah.
Um, Scientists do talk about multiverse and string theory and all that sort of crazy stuff that they can't prove. It's a
Mm.
theory. Then again, gravity was once a bit of a theory, and we know
Yeah.
that exists. So is it a matter of waiting? Is it okay? Yeah, we don't have the technology or the know-how to understand what string theory actually is, or what this multiverse theory is. But is the person shuffling their feet not even a ghost, and they're
Yeah.
you in another universe, and there was this weird crossover somewhere,
Yeah.
which that doesn't make it any less paranormal.
Yeah.
It's fascinating. And I have always, quite often, if someone's asked me, what do you think it is then? And I've said that theory about the whole, is there some kind of strange crossover thing? And it tends to blow people's minds a little bit, because it's almost crazier than ghosts to wrap your head around. Is it
Yeah.
this supernatural ethereal being we couldn't possibly fathom, or is it this statistical impossibility of these?
Yeah.
It's crazy. You could go
But
about it
it's
forever.
so fun. It's so fun to think about it though, because I've got all sorts of kind of strange little pet theories that I have literally no basis to kind of prove whatsoever. It's just in my own head. I go, yeah, I reckon that this is what's happened. I reckon there's a portal and blah blah blah, and people have come in, and when my husband and I have had these. He's a complete. He's not even a skeptic. He just thinks it's all a load of balls. Okay, so we have sometimes when he will entertain me, we have some interesting sort of talks about it, and I'll go. So I've interviewed quite a lot of people who've claimed to have been abducted by aliens. And what they've said is that they got taken up out of their bedroom, through the roof of the house, and in through the spacecraft. Okay. And I believe that that is possible. I realize that it is not within the physics that we know now. But I believe there is some sort of possibility that we can, a bit Star Trekky, I suppose, in a way, that we can kind of disseminate all of our particles, go through something solid by moving its particles around, and then realign ourselves at the other side. I believe that that can happen. And my husband's going, "What a load of crap! That's physics says that that can't happen." And blah. I'm like, "Yes, but there's physics that we don't know about as humans yet." And he's going, "No, no, 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 that can't happen." And I love having those sorts of conversations. I love imagining or kind of pontificating about stuff like that. Do you ever do stuff like that?
Yeah, I quite often come up with those sort of kind of crazy potential theories. I think that's part of the fun of it,
Mm,
right? I think as humans, we want to rationalize everything we see. Whether that be through faith and religion, or whether that be through in belief in ghosts, or even, some crazy cult of some sort. We always want to rationalize something. So
yeah.
coming up with theories, no matter how crazy as they are, passing through a roof and you've particles have disseminated. Uh, you want to sort of rationalize and find out a way, because we're all curious people, and if we can't explain something, then we want to know why, which I think is why we all do a paranormal investigation to start with. We just want to
Yeah.
know. Um, I think what is really interesting is the fact that people will make these arguments with no basis at all. And then it is interesting to see how people believe them without any actual scientific proof at all.
Mm,
I find that fascinating. And I think that's the same with anything. You could say that with any sort of belief. And I learned this quite early on. Was when I, was talking to people, and people would come to, say, the hotel, for instance. Uh, People would come and say, "Oh, I believe in that," and I go, "Well, that's not real. Sorry, the Ouija board isn't real, and here's why." What I found very quickly is that people's opinions and people's beliefs are not the same thing. And it took me a long time. I mean, it took me months to understand the premise that someone's opinion and someone's belief is not the same thing. If you, I heard a quote once, and I wish I can remember who actually said it, because I think it's a really clever quote with lots of layers. And the more you think about it, the more interesting it gets. You can't believe in something you know. Um, so to believe in something, you have to have faith regardless of evidence. And that goes for the paranormal a lot of the time. So when I
yeah.
say to someone, look, that Ouija board, I don't believe in it, it's not real, here's why, they actually get offended and refuse to believe what I've said, because they don't have an opinion that Ouija boards move by themselves. They believe it. And you can't believe in something you know. Yeah, it's a fascinating kind of. I think about that
A
quote all the
paradox.
time.
Yeah.
And the more you think about, you can't believe in something, the more interesting that quote gets. Every time I think about it, I think of a new nuance or another sort of version
Yeah.
of someone believing in something that without any evidence at all. I think
Yeah.
that's fascinating.
I think it's interesting because I don't have any, and I think for me it's important not to have any rigid um, theories because I know that I'm basically just constantly pontificating about what could be. And also, often things are proved wrong. I wouldn't ever want to lay my money on, well, this is definite or this is definite, because I think that's a very dangerous game to play in the paranormal. Um,
Mm.
And when people sort of go, yes, this is absolutely so, or this is absolutely not so, I go, I'm not sure about that actually. I'm not sure whether, I think it's all just layers of, in my belief, in my opinion leaf. It's all what ifs. Well, what if this? What if that? What if this? I just don't think I wouldn't want to be rigid about anything because I think you know, it could all be shown to be a load of rubbish.
Yeah, I actually, you know what? I envy people with a genuine, real belief. I know you can be quite skeptical yourself. You know how how incredible a ghost hunt must be to the people who believe everything they see.
Mm,
That must be the most intense, amazing experience ever. To go to a ghost hunt and believe everything without
yeah,
question. And I've seen those people,
it must be
and
quite
they
frightening, actually.
yeah, they have the best time. They have a much better time than me for sure.
Yeah.
Uh, it is fascinating, and I think this goes out saying. Obviously, we're talking very skeptical of things, but what I find most interesting is I don't believe any of these people are lying.
Mm,
People's first-hand, you know, that they believe something generally because they've witnessed it.
yeah.
So this woman, for instance, who you spoke to that was abducted by aliens. Now, that could have been a dream. That could have been some sort of, something else. It could have been some sort of version of sleep paralysis or something like
Yeah.
that. Um, However, I don't believe she's lying,
Yeah.
right?
Definitely.
So she did have that experience, whether it is just a dream, okay, and it was just very lucid, or whether it was quite literally aliens abducting her. I've just realized I'm wearing my ET jumper, and they're gonna the and so yeah, that's the most fascinating thing is I don't believe that these millions of people with these experiences are all lying.
No, they might be mistaken. So many things
Yeah,
might be at play. And also, in terms of me as a podcast host, I have to remain open-minded. I cannot judge people who come on my podcast because people believe all sorts of things have happened to them. And, I wasn't there, so I can't judge what they say happened. I just have to listen. Um,
yeah.
but I mean, you do kind of form little opinions as you go along, and it's interesting, isn't it? Because now you're making me analyze what I'm thinking because I am very skeptical. And when I used to come to the hotel, it was the best place that I'd ever been for experiences that I couldn't explain. And but even when the best thing happened, like the biggest bang in room 5, and then somebody knocked on the door, we opened the door, nobody was there. Somebody then banged on the floor in front of the door, right next to me, and then there was a massive bang on the wall, and it was thrilling. And yeah, in my mind, I was going, I need more. I need more. Yeah, that was
That's still not
brilliant, but
enough.
I need more. I need more. I need you to do it again. And even though technically I do believe that the spirits of the dead communicate with the living, I have no proof of this whatsoever, but it's just a
Mm.
belief that I have. I'm very skeptical about other things, and it's sometimes it's hard to kind of marry the two together sometimes.
Yeah, it's interesting. I'd love to. I, I what would make someone who's so skeptical, like never experienced anything ever, maybe your partner, for instance, who is
Yeah.
like, no, this is rubbish. What would it take for him to believe, not to go, oh, maybe, for him to go, yeah, you were right, go surreal. Okay. What
Yeah.
would that take?
I really
Because
want it to happen.
I'm sure I would question if a ghost walked into the room now and shook my hand, I'd probably go, "Ooh, yeah, but I did have 4 paracetamol earlier, so maybe that's gone to my head." I don't what. I think I would still even question that. So I wonder, in a strange way, I said earlier about people's beliefs. Does it go the other way when actually people who are very, very skeptical are actually equally as close-minded as people can be maybe too open-minded?
Yeah,
It's a
maybe.
fascinating thing because I don't know what would make me sit here today and go, yep, go surreal. I've seen things that I genuinely cannot explain, but I put it down to that subcategory of, oh yeah, I don't know what that was.
Yeah. So
And,
tell us
and then
about some of them. Go on. I really want to hear what are some of your best intriguing moments?
so we'll carry on the alien and the UFO thing.
Yeah.
Now, this is the reason being is this is something that I've held with me for my entire life nearly. I think I was maybe 9 years old, and it is fascinating. And the reason it's so fascinating is because my whole family saw it, and I still talk about it to them today. So uh, we were caravanning in North Wales in a place called Carnarvon, and it was a beautiful summer's day, not a cloud in the sky, and we go into the caravan. My brother, my mum, me, and my dad stays outside. And we go in to get a drink, and he's like, "Oh, get out here quick! Look at that!" And I mean, it was maybe 300 feet away from us. In the sky was this solid black triangle. It, there was no shape, there was no 3D aspect to it, just this solid black triangle. The sun was kind of behind it, so it was sort of a silhouette. And then around that were, when there is a name for it, I can't remember the when the birds sort of swarm and make those patterns in the sky.
Oh yeah, the migration patterns.
Yeah, when they do those,
I've
there is a
forgotten what it's
word, right?
called. Yeah.
I know. And
Murmur. No, no, no. Murmuration,
possibly, yeah, yeah.
maybe.
Well,
Something
anyway,
like that.
that's sort
Yeah.
of the pattern of the birds, that sort of thing with little tiny black dots just swirling around this solid black triangle. And we stood and watched it until it slowly drifted down behind the tree line. The tree line is 200 feet from us. And then there are people hanging out of their caravans going, we were one of 50, 60 people who were watching this. And then it drifted behind the trees, and I never thought about it ever again, which it probably should have terrified me. I don't know. Um, the I think the reason it stuck in my head so much, we went back to school after the summer holidays, and we were asked to draw something you did uh, over the summer holidays, and I drew this. I drew this moment. I actually used to be a very good drawer as a kid. I used to do it all the time, so it was quite a good little drawing of us all standing out the side of this caravan, pointing up at this black triangle in the sky. God knows what the teachers must have thought I did. I explained. I said we saw this, and it ended up on the wall in school.
Wow.
So I saw it for about 4 years, every day in this corridor. So I think that's why it stuck with me. And I'll talk to my dad about it, and he's like, "Oh yeah, that was weird." I think, no, did I not imagine that? Surely I imagined that. My 9 year old imagination ran wild with me one day. But no, I definitely remember the guy across the way in another caravan watched it.
Yeah.
So it was a real thing
Wow.
there.
Did it make a noise?
No, completely silent. There was
Uh,
nothing.
and did it come back up, or when it
No,
went
we
down, did you all just go, "Oh, time for an ice cream"? Or
just we just carried on with our day. Um,
see, I find that fascinating, and I find it fascinating in so many situations where things have happened to my husband that defy explanation, and he'll just go, "Oh, I don't know what that was," and you're like,
yeah,
"What?" And people have this ability to just go, "Well, that was weird." Anyway, blah 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 blah. I'm like,
yeah,
"No, no, you can't do that. You can't do that." We were once sat watching a horror film on Halloween. This is about 4 years ago, and The kids had gone to bed, and we were woken up by somebody banging on the front door really loudly, and it was late at night. So I remember we both sort of looked at each other, and he went, "Somebody's at the door," and I went, "Okay, shall I go then?" So I got up, opened the door, nobody was there. And I was like, "Oh, hang on, this is teenagers." So I ran out down the drive and I looked both ways down the street, nobody there whatsoever. And as I came back in the house, I heard footsteps going up the stairs in front of me. And I heard somebody walking on our landing. And I ran upstairs thinking, are the boys out of bed or something? And I checked on both of them. They were both fast asleep and there were heavy footsteps. So we had the banging on the door and then we had footsteps. And then I went back in and I said to him, "Oh my God, this happened and this happened." He went, "Yeah, no, I heard it." And then he went, "That was weird, wasn't it? Anyway, shall I press play?" I'm like, "No, you can't just do that. You have to
Is
be curious. You can't just brush it off and go, oh, that was weird."
that is interesting, isn't it? How people can just do that. I think I am one of those people. I am one of those people that I mean, I quite I can get scared quite easily in the moment if something happens, but yeah, I will just forget about it and go on with my day generally. Yeah, and I've never really thought of why people do that.
People do it. I
Uh,
think it's like a coping mechanism because they can't consider the other option. It's just too much.
yeah,
So they just go, "Oh, that was weird."
yeah, yeah, probably is. Yeah, it is probably just to turn it off kind of thing. I've had the similar experience where I've been in a building and someone's broke in.
Oh,
You
wow.
know, well, they haven't,
But it
but you're
sounded like it.
sure they have. I've I've slept in the hotel overnight by myself, and someone has walked up and down that corridor and slammed a door, and I go out. I remember this is quite a funny story. Before the hotel even opened, I stayed over because I was just working and doing some work there, and the cameras had been set up. I think it was room two. I can't. Uh, but yeah, this really loud bang. The only way I can describe it was as if someone threw a sack of potatoes at the door. Like the key was shaking in the door, and I go out and I look up and down, and I'm in my boxers. Not that you need to know that information. Sorry. Um, but the only reason is why is the next morning I go downstairs and Harry's in the office checking the cameras, which he used to do all the time. When he first got the cameras, he was on it every single day. Um, and he's like, "What? Why did you get up at 1:30 in the morning in your boxers and look up and down the corridor?" So I watch back the footage and you can hear it and all that. And all I do is I go, 3P building. And I go back to bed. I just go back to bed and I just went back to bed. I suppose that was another thing. I've just gone, oh, that was weird. Right.
Yeah.
But that was very, very scary. That wasn't a oh my gosh, paranormal scary. That was someone's trying to break into my room. That was very, very strange.
But yet
I've
you
had a
still just
couple.
went back to bed.
Yeah, we'll go. I can go else. It was 1:30 in the morning, but it was yeah.
Wow. So what other scary things happened while you were there? Can you remember any more? There's probably
I
a
mean,
few.
most of it was documented, I suppose. Um, the I think the most interesting thing about it was the shadow, actually seeing a shadow for myself because it has been recorded since for 30 years. There's photos 20 years back. Um, so actually seeing that was interesting to myself. And again, I saw it. I didn't actually react how maybe I normally would. It was more of a hold on, and I wouldn't have believed it hadn't two other people been in the room who also saw it.
Yeah.
Um, so that was really interesting to actually finally see that. And it could have been a number of things. The window was open. Was there a light and something past the window? I don't know. But yeah, to see that in person. Otherwise, 98% of everything that happened in that building, I experienced through other people. I
Yeah.
was sat in a room. I was sat in a room watching other people experience these things generally. So the it wasn't incredibly common to have the things happen to yourself.
Yeah.
Um, Although you had the odd time if you were flicking through the cameras and something would knock on the door or walk past the door and there was nobody there or something, or you'd hear a voice outside the room or something. And yeah, you would get it sometimes, but generally you're obviously watching and facilitating that for other people.
Mm.
Um, so it was, yeah, I kind of lived vicariously through other people, I think, most of the time with that sort of thing. And it is interesting to watch it on a screen and it's happening just over there.
Yeah.
You don't react to it the same way when it's on a TV, like watching a horror film, I suppose.
Yeah.
If
Yeah.
those things were in real life, you would leg it, but on a screen, you're watching third person, so it's fascinating. Um, but yeah, I think the shadow figure was the most interesting thing I think I'd experienced there, other than that thing in room two, which nobody knows about because that footage was long gone by the time we'd even opened the hotel.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
so yeah, that was the weirdest thing because that whole not only the building was dead bolted, that floor was that the door to that corridor used to lock,
Ooh.
so there was nobody up there at all. It
Yeah.
was double dead bolted. I was in that building alone. So yeah, that was very strange.
So what do you think is going on there? Do you think it is ghosts, except for you said that you don't believe in them? So how can you what do you think about it?
I think I mean I've experienced things in a lot of places that I can't explain. I never say the word ghost. Um, Whether it is a 400-year-old building creaking overnight, who knows? Um, is it our minds playing with us in terms of okay, the noise happened, but did it directly come from where you think it did? Um, yeah, it's fascinating. We're having seen, I mentioned earlier, the real paranormal guys at the lodge are having this incredible knocking phenomena coming from a table,
Yeah.
and to watch it is it's kind of crazy because you go there's just no way it can't be the information can't be that accurate.
Yeah.
Um, so but how many times you have to crawl under a table to realize that no one's knocking the table
Yeah.
or the table doesn't creak or yeah, so I can't wait to get there to
I was
experience
gonna
that
say, yeah.
and
So
try
you're
and
going there. Are you going there quite soon, do you think?
hopefully yes, yeah, I need to work out a day to go over there. It's in Baker, so it's kind of nowhere. It's a really cool building though, and the stuff they're getting recently is crazy. I've been there a few times myself, but I've never seen anything that they're getting now. I don't know
Yeah.
what on earth has happened in there to all of a sudden cause this crazy stuff going on. But um, yeah, I mean, the first thing I would do there, for instance, is I crawl under that table. I will sit under that table while they're investigating, looking out. Gibbsy told me a couple of weeks ago. He said, "Honestly, Brett, it'll ruin your day because you'll lose your mind over it." And I went, "No, no, I will ruin your day. I will come in. I will debunk it. I will work it out. There's no way." And he's like, "You can't. I've tried." And I was like, "Well, have you tried it?" He's like, "Yeah, of course I have." I mean, this guy a year and a half ago was one of those people who went, "This is a load of rubbish." And now he's talking to tables. And he knows he sounds crazy. He messages me and he's like, Brett, trust me, I know I sound insane, but it's real. It's actually happening. I'm like, okay, sure. I'll come find out. But
Oh,
again, it goes back to, you know, I believe everything they say. They're not
mm.
lying to me. So so what is happening? They've tried and tested every possible aspect. So yeah, what is it? Is it a ghost in a table? Can you even say that and sound like a rational human being?
It could be, I suppose it could be the only thing I can think really is something from somewhere else that is managing to interact with our physical world
Yeah, yeah. I
somehow.
mean, yeah. If you can't explain everything, if you've exhausted all possible other avenues, um, you have to at least consider that an option, I suppose. Even though you probably know you'll never confirm that.
Well, yeah.
Yeah,
Although don't they say when all of the possibilities have been sort of, I don't remember the words, used up, then what remains is the truth kind of thing.
oh yeah, yeah. I suppose yeah,
Exhausted.
it's right. Yeah,
Whatever that truth is.
yeah, yeah. Whatever is left is yeah. If you can't confirm it, then and that's the only thing you can't not confirm, then it is more likely that I suppose.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, I have a strange relationship with the paranormal like that, where I'm incredibly skeptical. I've experienced lots of things, and I just go, oh, no, there's no way. There's no way.
It's like, shall I allow my head to blow up or shall I just go, that was weird?
Yeah, that was weird. That was crazy. As it's yeah, it's very very strange. But yeah, there's been a lot of other things that I've experienced in terms of things that maybe you could if you spent a long time looking at it and spending a lot of time investigating, you could probably work it out. But in the moment is terrifying, or it's like, wow, that's amazing. And then you kind of go away and think, yeah, but was that just purely coincidence? A lot of it stems from, when we're investigating, we're asking questions. You know, we
Yeah.
all, I mean, having literally had a career watching people do a ghost hunt, I can confirm how crazy you all look. Uh, because the irony is that we're all just sat there in the dark shouting at walls. We're like on. I quite often, even just in a ghost hunt recently, I'll sit there and I'll go, "We look stupid. What? Like, isn't this stupid? A bunch of grown adults just talking to an empty room and hoping for." It's like when you look at it on face value with no context, it just looks hilarious.
And hoping for
Um,
an answer.
yeah, this is where I was going. Is
Isn't that the same as religion?
Yeah, yeah, it kind of is. So what is interesting though is when say you ask 1,000 questions in a room, and the door creaks on question 837. Does that mean that the question triggered the door creaking on the question 837? Or does that door creak every 47 minutes that happens to be as long as it takes you to ask 837 questions? It, so if we ask a question and we get no response, and we ask a question and we get no response, and we ask another one and we get a response, we all of a sudden, via confirmation bias, go, okay, that was a yeah. Okay, right. They said yes. So now we'll ask a further question. And I've seen I've seen stories of ghosts that have zero evidence ever even existed in history be created out of nowhere. There's a fascinating story um, with the hotel from having gone there for years and years and years. Uh, 10, 15 years ago, I used to do ghost hunts there as part of, just something I used to do. and there was a ghost there by the name of Victor. Now, you probably will have never heard that name. And if
No?
anyone has seen the show either back then or even now, the name has never come up. There's a reason, because the team who were going there and ghost hunting basically made it up, maybe without even knowing. They're using a Ouija board, and it's, oh, can you tell us your name? And it goes V. I. Is your name Victor? Yes. And that's it. And now I'm like, okay, all right, Victor, then I suppose. And then 10 years later, I go back there, having not been in that building for 10 years. And I'm like, what happened to Victor? Where did he go? And then realized that it never existed. That was just this constant confirmation bias of asking questions in a dark room and something happening and it confirming something that never ever even existed. And then 10 years later, once that team has kind of disappeared, well, no, it wasn't a thing anymore. So
Do you
I
know what? Do you know
wonder,
what would be really funny if somebody came up with an EVP where a voice was going, "I'm Victor."
can you
That would be
imagine? And no
really
one ever
good.
no one
Yeah.
ever assumed that it was relevant. They were like, oh, that's weird. But okay. Uh, if it exists, you need to send it. That's yeah. Um, but how many in that case, if I've seen one or two of those cases happen, how many in the world are there where these ghosts have manifested through potential kind of just the fact that, a floorboard creaked, which could have been paranormal for sure, sure, but just just by chance that Jane over in the corner said, "Is your name Jeff?" and the floorboard creaked. But all the other names that they'd said for an hour prior to that, the floorboard didn't creak. So now all of a sudden, Jeff is a ghost. Jeff is this real ghost that we've just created. And yeah, I do wonder how many ghosts exist that have been created and then passed on down this kind of timeline of paranormal
Yeah.
investigators talking to each other and saying, "Oh, we got this name." So then this new team go into, I don't know, 30 East Drive with the name Emily, and then
Yeah.
they hear something and they go, "Oh, we were talking about Emily, so that confirms Emily." And then Emily builds this
Yeah.
story. You can actually test this. You
Oh
can
no,
test
I
it.
have
Yeah.
no doubt whatsoever.
You can test it by dropping a kind of red herring names into an investigation,
Yeah.
um, and seeing this character build from nothing. It is fascinating. Not obviously to say that that's always the case, because
Yeah.
quite a lot of the time you find actual historical evidence for these people existing.
Yeah. But I
Um,
have to say, I think it's really bad practice to guess names.
hmm,
Really bad practice. I mean, it's this. It really annoys me when I see people on Ouija boards and they can't wait till the end. It's like, you know, it might not have been saying Victor. It might have been saying Vincent.
yeah,
Wait till it's finished, for goodness sake.
yeah, it is.
Don't guess and then yeah, make up stories about it.
Yeah, it is quite funny. A lot of people don't use Ouija boards while I'm in the room now. I've noticed that. Oh, if I've ever been with investigators that have used Ouija boards in the last couple of years, they get it out and they go, "Look, Brett, I know." I'm like, "Oh, you do what you want. You're fine, sure." Um, and generally, ironically, my presence in the room generally means that the Ouija board doesn't do anything.
Mm,
Purely my skepticism alone can create enough skepticism that the Ouija board never moves. So it's very
yeah,
rare that I actually see it happen now. Which is that's a fascinating thing to look into as well, I suppose. And
yeah,
those are the kind of things that in the paranormal really interest me now. Is what are people doing that are actually hindering a genuine investigation into something?
yeah.
Um,
Paranormal damper, I tell you.
yeah, yeah, yeah. That's kind of it, right?
Oh my goodness. Well, I realise that I've kept you for an hour now, so I probably should start winding up. But
That's fine.
that has been fantastic. I've really enjoyed it, and I hope that you'll come back on in the future.
Yeah, of course. Yeah, yeah. Whenever you want me, let me know. Yeah, I like having these chats.
It's really good, isn't it? I mean, I really want to know what happens with real paranormal now. So I'll be
Yeah,
interested to chat to you after you've been there and seeing what's going on.
yeah. It'll be really interesting. It might be worth you having a chat with Saz and Gibbsy, I suppose, and seeing
Oh,
what
I'd
their
love to.
experience.
Yeah.
Yeah, the stuff they're getting there at the minute is crazy. It's quite far away from me, so I don't go often. But the team they have there, and it's this old Masonic lodge. Um, that what is incredible about it is, it has this very well documented history of all the Masons that have ever been there.
Yeah.
They have complete free reign of the building, including the ceremony area and all of the artifacts that come with that, which
Wow.
obviously to the average person mean nothing. You walk into this room full of these this symbolic stuff that you're like, what's that do? What's that for?
Is it still
Uh,
an active lodge?
Still an active lodge as well
Oh,
that's used, and
wow.
they will give them complete free reign of it. Yeah, it's really fascinating, and they always have a guy called Ollie who is an active Freemason in that building
Yeah.
to confirm and deny the things that are going on, and if it is relevant. Obviously, he's sworn to secrecy on a lot of things, but he can confirm a lot of the history that goes on there. So it's a really interesting, different kind of investigation when you have an active person that knows the ins and outs of everything. So if there's a question or an answer given that the average person wouldn't know because they're not a Freemason, there's one there on hand generally.
Oh, that's
Um,
really good. I once
it's
went to a
fascinating.
dinner at a Masonic lodge in London. It was really interesting.
Okay. Yeah, it is. I don't know much about it. Um, I mean, I suppose that's the point, right?
Well,
But
yeah. I bought this tiny little book from a second-hand shop in Cornwall, I think. And it's really thin and it's from, I don't know, the 1940s or something, and it's called The Secrets of the Freemasons. I haven't read it
ah,
yet, but I'm like, oh, that'd be quite interesting to see whether
yeah,
it's actually
it's
telling us anything.
it is fascinating. I mean, from what I can gather of the very little knowledge I have, is it's just a bunch of people who actually generally want to help other people.
They do a
It's
lot of
quite a
charitable
fascinating
works,
thing.
don't they?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And there's a kind of a community aspect of it. Um, it's not exclusively faith-based, but it feels very something to a higher power,
Yeah.
whether that is God or not, or whoever that would be to anyone. Um, so it almost feels religious, but I don't think that's really the point.
I think it's more about
Um,
ritual than religion, really.
yeah, it
Yeah.
is. It's really fascinating. In the lodge, there's this big gold G hanging from the roof, and they're like, "What do you think that means?" I'm like, "A big G in gold
God?
in the sky. Is it God? Is it And then you have a lot of geometric shapes in. Is it just the word geometry? I don't know,
Is
but
it the Illuminati?
it's fascinating, and it's almost its own paranormal thing
Yeah,
because nobody generally knows.
because it's so
And
mysterious.
yeah, and it's fascinating even talking to some of them. Uh, they're all on different levels and different pathways through Freemasonry. So some of them don't know either. It, yeah, it's a crazy, very fascinating subject.
It is.
And it's a really cool way of investigating alongside having this fascinating history with the Freemasonry and stuff that you can actively confirm live there, which is quite nice.
Yeah. And that's in Bacup, is it? Is that Lancashire?
Yes.
Yeah. Oh, it's
Yeah,
the other
Baker.
side of the border from me.
Yeah, it is. Yeah.
The Red
It's
Rose.
it's yeah, no, it's a really cool little building. And yeah, I can't wait to get back there and see what's going on
Yeah.
because since I was last there, the place has blown up with activity. that I would love to just go in and say, I'm really sorry, guys, but you got it wrong. The window was open this whole time. Uh, and I'm sorry. I mean, I know that isn't the case. Um, but yeah, I have a feeling I'm going to go there and come back going, ooh, okay, tables talk, or whatever they are claiming at the minute.
Or
Um,
doing lots of research on how can this be happening?
yeah, yeah, I'm going to become a joiner just to work out how tables are built. I'm gonna. It's going to be a bit of a rabbit hole thing, I think.
Right, so my final fun question before you go is this. Um, if you were told that you had to kind of be affiliated with either the existence of ghosts or the existence of extraterrestrials on Earth, which way would you go?
Oh, extraterrestrials on Earth,
Yes.
not just in general. Ooh, oh, that's fascinating. Okay, the on Earth bit is the hard bit to get
Oh,
past.
we might have to explore that then. Go on.
I mean,
If I
because I
hadn't
think
said on Earth, what would you have said?
if you hadn't said on Earth, I would say yes, because statistically it's almost impossible,
Yeah.
right? It's the Fermi paradox, right, where we haven't ever found extraterrestrial life, which is impossible because statistically it has to happen. Um, yeah. Whereas, so I think if you were to say, yeah, extraterrestrials in general, yes, for sure, they have to exist. It would be statistically impossible. On Earth,
Mm,
I don't know. Didn't Obama say aliens were real the other day? Did you see that interview?
no, I didn't actually. I should have.
Obama
Wow.
recently said that aliens are real, but I haven't seen them, whatever
Ooh.
that means. And now Donald Trump's kind of saying he's going to release UFO files, whether he
Oh
does or
yeah, I
not.
know. Well, yeah. I mean,
Um, yeah, so that'll be a fascinating story to look into if that ever happens. Um, yeah, I don't know if they're on Earth. Maybe not currently. Um, if yeah, okay, if I was to choose one, I would say simply the on Earth thing would sway me to ghosts. So I would say the paranormal in terms of ghosts, I would side with that over on Earth. However, extraterrestrials I do believe exist in general somewhere in the universe.
Okay. Oh, interesting. Interesting. I like that. Do you know what? It's funny because I've been doing this podcast for 6 years now. I've been doing investigations about 15 years, and I've been interested in the paranormal ever since I was about 8 years old when I had a very strange experience. Um, Now, when I first started this podcast, it was just all about the idea of ghosts. Are ghosts a possibility? What experiences have people had, and all that sort of thing. Um, I didn't know or have time for any stories to do with extraterrestrials, cryptids, anything to do with Bigfoot, alien abductions, Dogman, Pigman, God knows what else. Um, Nothing to do with that. It just wasn't on my radar. And the more that I've interviewed people over these years and heard stories of people very genuinely telling me about their perceived experiences with a lot of detail, the more it's opened my mind to the possibility that there is so much out there that we don't know about. And what if, for 1 second, all this was real and more? I just think it would boggle our minds so much we'd probably combust.
Oh yeah, for sure. I think I read a statistic the other day that there were about 200 plus um, new dinosaur species found last year.
Wow.
I mean that was in a year. Um, so and there's always new species of things found in the ocean which we have no idea anything about. We know more about space than we do the oceans.
Yeah,
So yeah, there's a lot even on Earth that we don't know what's going on.
there
I,
is.
I think the cryptids thing. I think there's some stuff to that. I think there's a possibility of there being creatures or species of animals that are related to other animals that we are very familiar with that we just haven't seen yet.
Yeah,
Um, so yeah, I believe that there's definitely some sort of things to the cryptid thing for sure.
yeah, definitely. Um, my final thought is one that I'm sure you'll be completely blasé about, having thought about it many times, but many people haven't thought about this. And I'm a primary school teacher, and we had an insect day today, and we had to, one of our little team building tasks was to go and find something in the school that was the oldest thing that you could find. So, me being very logical, ran off to the history cupboard and found a Victorian kettle. And I took a picture of it and brought it back. I was very pleased with myself. Probably about 1850. Yeah, I'm really chuffed. And then one of the teachers in the other group had a picture of water. And I went, oh my God,
Ah,
that is inspired. And she
wow.
was
I mean,
going,
I was immediately thinking a rock, but
yeah,
yeah,
water. And the fact that every single sip of water that you drink has probably been through every dinosaur on the planet
no,
60
don't
million years ago.
put me off you put me off my drink, but yeah.
Sorry, yeah, we're just drinking the wee of millions of animals over the millennia. How fabulous is that? I love it.
That is some genius out of the box thinking, though. Photo of water. That
I
is
know.
very, very clever. I would never even thought of that. But
I
yeah,
was really annoyed with myself for not thinking of it, because I've thought about that so much, about all this water, and because water, there's only the a certain amount of water on the earth, and it just all gets recycled and refiltered and moves around,
yeah,
and you're like, damn, why didn't I think of
yeah, that's
that?
fascinating. Didn't yeah,
Brilliant.
all water has always been here.
Yeah.
Wow. Okay.
It never
Yeah.
gets any more or any less. It just moves around.
Hmm.
And that is truly mind-boggling.
I'm gonna
Oh,
go run the tap after this and just watch some history, I suppose. I
yeah,
don't know.
and yeah. Drink some dinosaur wee. Oh, well, thank you so much, Brett. It's been a real joy and a pleasure speaking to you again. It's been really fun.
Oh, thank you. No, yeah, it's been really nice to have a good chat again.
Yeah, it's been good. And nice to speak to you just by yourself as well, because you know, I've been on investigations with you, and I've chatted with you on the podcast with other people, but it's nice just to chew the cud one to one sometimes.
Yeah, it's been nice. Yeah, we've asked some very, very deep questions for
We
sure.
have. Yeah.
Yeah. I'm not sure we've answered any of them.
Oh no. No, but I think it's important to ask these questions, even if you can't answer them.
Yeah, that's the point, right?
Well, I hope your house move goes very well. And don't forget, it is a requirement to eat takeaways on top of cardboard boxes.
I will send you a photo of that first meal on the cardboard box.
Fantastic. Right, well, you take care of yourself, and I'll let you know when the podcast episode's out.
Perfect. Thank you very much.
All right, take care. Thank you, Brett.
See you soon. Bye.
See you. Bye.